Hello folks, and welcome to the weekend warm-up from here at Spa-Francorchamps with me and her and him. And Rosanna, it's wonderful to be back, isn't it?
It really is. For me personally, it's great to be back at a circuit, but I think the summer break was just about long enough. We had some drivers who were kind of wanting to get back in the car sooner, and others perhaps maybe wanted a little longer, but I think we are ready to go for the second half of the season.
Yeah, there's a really nice vibe, I think, today. It's like that back to school feeling. Everyone was glad to be here, glad to go racing, and what a track to do it on.
Yeah, absolutely. The weather looks like it's going to be peaky all the way through the weekend. It's been raining sort of on and off all the way through the day. Most drivers incredibly enthusiastic about that.
Yeah, but I think that's the season that we've seen so far, so many races with opportunities. I think that's probably why this circuit, this weather, offers yet more of that.
Yeah, it really does. Of course, we arrive here after absolute devastation in the region earlier in the year. There will be a mark on Sunday for those that lost their lives in the floods here. And also, of course, a real sort of dark cloud over the circuit this weekend for the loss of the CEO just a few days ago. So, yeah, all of that in mind over this weekend. But Rosanna, we are here obviously in the midst of an epic World Championship fight. It looked to all be going Red Bull Racing's way, and yet we arrive here with Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes leading both championships.
Absolutely, the tables have turned, and I really felt, I saw Lewis Hamilton and spoke to him in the pen earlier, and it just seems very relaxed. Seems like he's got it all under control, but I do think he's expecting a massive force from Red Bull and Max Verstappen. But he did allude to the fact that he now knows who he's fighting in terms of Max Verstappen. He's got to understand the characters that he's up against, and he didn't want to go too much more into that. I said I won't tell you much more about that, but it's interesting, isn't it, after half a season, what they learn about each other.
Yeah, and we've all been making a point throughout this year that Max has never fought for a world championship. Lawrence, are we making too much out of that?
He's like Lewis, is super relaxed, and I think he is trying to put it out of his mind, treat this like any other season, he says, because I don't think he wants to feel that pressure, because at the end of the day, he's not been in this position before. He's not been fighting tooth and nail. He's had the odd race where he's had a car competitive for a Grand Prix, and this is the first time. I think the reset came at just about the right time for him, because he had those tough couple of races just before the summer break.
Yeah.
He's coming here to a couple of circuits actually where the expectation isn't too high on Red Bull. They've maybe lacked some power on the straights, and so he's playing things down, even though Lewis is saying he's expecting a threat from Red Bull. He's playing things down, so I think he's actually in a really good place coming in.
He and Sergio Perez will have to move on from their second power units to their third. Of course, the one that was involved in that accident with Lewis Hamilton at the British Grand Prix is now not usable anymore, and Sergio's that was damaged in that first corner shunt in Hungary is not usable anymore. Speaking to Sergio earlier today, he says he's never been in a World Championship fight before, raring to go for this second half of the season. Learned so much in the first half that he can put into effect for the second. Not thinking about contract renewal too much at the moment, but is having chats and should have news for us soon. On the Valtteri situation, no news. Valtteri George, who gets that Mercedes seat, we were supposed to know by now. They were supposed to have had it all tidied up over the summer break. That hasn't happened, so we wait to hear from
nice
Mercedes.
Pairing in the press conference, I thought, with George and Valtteri. Not awkward at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. But neither one of them wanting to talk about it because they've got nothing to say. Apparently they're going to have some chats this weekend, as if they didn't have enough to do. Let's hear though from Lewis Hamilton and from Max Verstappen, the two championship combatants. Easy for me to say, it's been a long holiday. Combatants 2021.
Everything's very vague. I don't really remember everything from the first half of the season. It was difficult, very, very difficult for all of us. The things I remember is that, just in between each session, getting the setup right. The pressure has been immense for us in terms of getting the operations right, making sure you're taking a step forward and not sideways or backwards. And in terms of understanding the drivers that you're racing with, that's an interesting process. I won't really say too much more about it, but I think I understand and know the guys that I'm racing with really well. And but the most important thing is just I'm racing always against myself. I'm always trying to improve and better how I perform, and that's really my focus.
And you've been in the sim this week. I mean, is this going to be a new thing? Is this a Lewis Hamilton habit now?
No, I hope not. I won't be in it next week. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have a little break, to see family and friends, and just recharge a little bit because it was quite busy, and also now with the 3 races coming up, it was nice. But then of course also at one point you are a bit like, okay, let's get started again. Let's get back in the car, especially here in Spa. So it's a really nice track, home crowd. So really excited.
From one Red Bull team to another, and down here at AlphaTauri, you spoke to Yuki Tsunoda.
I did, and it's interesting just reflecting on the first half of the season, and he did admit that he thought he might have been a little racy at the beginning of the season.
Just a little
bit, about 4'3" little. He said that served him well in Bahrain, but as the season went on, not so great for him. So he's having to really kind of dial it back a little bit, and therefore that might lead to a bit more consistency, although the team is the most consistent of the whole grid, having scored points in every single race thus far. But yeah, just interesting to see how he's reflected on his first foray into Formula One.
Yeah, it's been quite the start for Yuki. He has quite the reputation already. I managed to speak to Pierre Gasly earlier today. Pierre said he had a great break, spent time with friends and family, but told them all he wouldn't see them now until Christmas because with the run of races that's going, he just wants total focus, absolute commitment to the cause, and as you say, massively consistent throughout the year. That AlphaTauri, Lawrence, we've been saying it all year, it's a great car, and now embroiled in that battle with Alpine, with Aston Martin, they just want to, fight Alpine now for that position.
Yeah, it's a great package, and they've got a car that they understand. I think that's crucial, and they've been able to get on top of it and get a good baseline very early on in the weekends. I think what's hurt them has been Yuki's struggled. He's had an inconsistent weekend, and they've had to rely a lot on Pierre and gathering that data. If Yuki can turn things around, and I think that summer break was probably an opportunity for Franz to sit down with him and give him some schooling, shall we say. So he probably had homework over the summer break. If he can come out here and maybe just rein it in a little bit, dial it back in a little bit, that team could be pushing Alpine really hard for that position.
And from one Italian team to another, Ferrari. What a change from last year into this. Both drivers feeling refreshed after the summer break. You spoke to Carlos.
Yeah, it was a really tough race here actually at Spa for Ferrari last year, but they're coming here with slightly more renewed hope. Carlos had a great summer break, spent it with his family like he does every summer. He had a great first half of the season. What he's hoping to is just for those clean weekends. He wants a weekend from start to finish where things go right, because he can always turn it on, generally speaking, on a Sunday. He just wants to be able to have a stronger into that Sunday Grand Prix to help him start further up the grid.
And this is what Mattia Binotto has been saying, isn't it? If you can just dial out those inconsistencies, those small mistakes, get a complete weekend together, it's what they need, to fight against McLaren in the championship.
Absolutely, two incredible drivers. I'm actually going to go and have a sit down with both of them later on. I'm really interested to catch up with them after the summer break. But both of them working so hard, and Carlos actually being very vocal about the work that the team have done since the French Grand Prix, when everything started to slightly unravel, but saying that everyone came together at Maranello. They've really pushed hard, and I'll be really interested to see how they go at a circuit like this.
Now, we talked about the Red Bull guys needing a new power unit. Charles, that's the one, needs a new power unit as well after Lance Stroll did a bit of gardening and went into the sides of him. Ferrari making some noises before we went away on a holiday about other teams potentially paying for the damage that they caused under the budget cap. That caused a few eyebrows to be raised. Let's hear though from Charles Leclerc. He will have to take an engine penalty at some point this year. There seems little doubt of that now.
I mean, the first part of the season was quite tiring. So to have only 2 weeks, even though they go very, very quick by, it is nice to have some time off, to be able to see the family, the friends, and that's exactly what I did. So now I'm fully ready for the second part of the season. On paper, it doesn't look good for us. It is one of the most difficult tracks this season for us. But on the other hand, we've had some good surprises on other tracks where we thought we will struggle more. So hopefully this weekend will be another good surprise. But yeah, let's wait and see.
Hungarian Grand Prix was, of course, fantastic for Williams with the points that they scored. Not quite so great if you're Haas, because they are now rock bottom by some margin.
Yeah, that was their worst nightmare really, that Williams would have such a big score, because it's not that Haas might not be able to score even the odd point later in this year. It's such a significant margin now they're going to have to overcome, and that obviously means a hefty cut in prize money.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking to Mick Schumacher earlier today, a lot of focus on him this weekend. Of course, his famous father made his debut here 30 years ago. Mick himself grateful for the summer break to be able to obviously recharge, but also to process that first half of the year, all the lessons learned, put it into effect for the second half of the year. He says he's very close to agreeing his contract for next year. wherever that may be. You spoke to Nikita.
Yeah, I did. Nikita is predicting a quiet race this weekend, but I think the one thing we've learned in 2021, don't expect a quiet race. And they're going to, no, exactly, ever. And especially if you are looking for those opportunities, that's exactly where Williams lucked out in Hungary, just being there to scoop up points. That's what Haas need. They need some sort of altercation at the start of this race or something exciting to happen. And who knows?
Rain.
Yeah, blue sky now, though.
Yeah, but potentially rain. They're both hoping for rain. Nikita, though, has a new chassis this weekend. He's been complaining of a heavy chassis.
He's been wanting that for ages.
Been wanting it for ages.
Yeah.
Finally got it. Finally got his new chassis. To McLaren, we've already spoken about Ferrari, of course, and brought in that battle with McLaren. Who was it that spoke to Lando
Doing some such
today?
weird sidestep.
Who spoke to Lando?
I had a chat to Lando, to Daniel.
How's Lando?
Lando's good. I think he probably would have liked a little bit more time on his boat. Seemed like he had a great time on his holidays.
Yeah.
I did love that during the summer break, having a little glimpse into what they were up to, like George and Nick Latifi all hanging out together. I thought it was a really nice little window into their lives.
Yeah, Mykonos, the place to be.
Yeah.
If you're a racing driver.
With Lando, the summer break came at a good time because he had that difficult, obviously, race in Hungary, taken out first time he hadn't scored all year.
Yeah, of course.
And then we were talking about P3 in the championship. It's unbelievable. He says that he's still there, a Merc and a Red Bull behind him, and he's going to give everything he can to stay ahead in the remainder of the championship. He's taken a lot of hope from the fact that car has been competitive at most tracks this year, and even though he expects it to be tough around here, we've seen in Monaco when he thought it was going to be rubbish, he got a podium. So you never know what could happen.
No, it's been a tough start to the year for his teammate Daniel Ricciardo as well. Of course, celebrating 200 Grand Prix in Formula One this weekend.
Daniel, good to see you. First and foremost, happy 200th Grand Prix, if that's a thing.
Thanks. I guess it is. I'll take it. I'll claim it.
How was your summer break? Was it much needed?
Much needed, yeah. I think, much needed. Just even from like a recovery point of view, like just to switch off and just kind of recharge the batteries and all that stuff. And I think mentally just get a break as well. You know, obviously I've been like, let's say, trying really hard this year to make some results happen. And I think, sometimes now it was a good time just to actually step away and give also like the brain a rest. So we're back though, soon enough, and we're back.
Does that mean you kind of look at it with a new outlook the rest of the season after having a break, and kind of you step back and I guess you reassess things, don't you?
Yeah, it's definitely a chance to do that. And I think, even like, coming into this weekend, it's not that, I'm refreshed and I'm getting on the podium. It's not even thinking about the end result on a Sunday. It's really just come here, be happy to be here to race at an awesome circuit, and just the little things, and each day like take those little bits of pleasure, and then ideally by Sunday afternoon it transforms into a good result.
Now, Hungary was not a happy hunting ground for Aston Martin, although it had all looked so good.
It looked great. Sunday afternoon, it was all champagne and celebrations, but then, of course, the disqualification that came for Sebastian, and that really sort of lingered through the summer holidays, didn't it? You had to keep up to speed with what was going on, and didn't really go their way.
Lance, of course, had taken himself out pretty much from the outset. But yeah, Seb, they needed a bottle of wine, of fuel, and they only had a glass left.
Dire straits.
Dire straits, absolutely. Not what they needed at all. Real disappointment for all the boys and girls at the team.
Yeah, 18 points is such a significant amount in a very tight midfield battle this year, and with Aston Martin now going to have to make up quite a big deficit to Alpine after they cleaned up essentially in Hungary. It's going to be a tough one for them to take. The guys and girls, like you said, working really hard on the ground. It's their points as well that have been taken away from them.
Yeah, but rules is rules, of course, and you have to have that fuel to be able to give that sample at the end of the race. Lance Stroll, similarly, very disheartened after that. He's going to take a grid penalty into this weekend for the smash that he caused down there at turn 1 in Hungary. You've mentioned Alpine cleared up. They did. They also cleared up the news stakes today. News, announcements.
Well, big news. Were we expecting it? Perhaps a little bit. Fernando Alonso signing with Alpine for 2022. And I saw both of them, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, in the media pen. And I think that relationship is real. I think they really do get on. And I loved how Fernando worked with Esteban to ensure they took that win in Hungary as well. It was a real feel-good factor.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, and what I really liked about that announcement is I love a photo of the team boss and the driver side of the pen and paper. I know they just do it. I just love it. I feel like that makes it official that it's
old school, that is
proper.
Yeah, exactly that. But I think it's great that Fernando's here. around for another year. Like you said, we kind of expected it, but in Hungary, of all places, he showed why we still love him, why he's still as good as he was more than 20 years ago. Battling Hamilton, we want to see more of that, and I do think that's what we're going to get from Fernando for the rest of this year and into next year.
Lovely stuff. Of course, as we've said, Esteban Ocon won the Hungarian Grand Prix, the latest Formula One race winner, and let's hear from him now.
I'm so happy still, for sure. And especially when I see the guys again, they are just smiling, they are happy. This atmosphere is what we want. It's the reward of all the hard work and for me also 20 years of work, to arrive here and to have win my first race. It's awesome moments, but we are focused on the race coming up. The past doesn't have a future, but yeah, we need to be focused here and take the opportunity if it comes.
So then this weekend, I mean, what's it looking like? You've gone well in the past here. This year, same vibe or not?
Yeah, it's been a good race last year. Probably one of our best. Fourth and fifth we got in terms of pure pace. That was mega. But I think it's going to be completely different. With the weather forecast being unstable, there's 90% of chance of rain in general for every day. So, as I said, things are going to happen. So we need to see what comes up to us.
And you've got the man just next to you.
Short answer.
You're going to be teammates. How great is that?
Okay. Yeah, very good, man. Very good. No, very good. I mean, we're enjoying our time together. Fernando is a hell of a fighter. So he's mega fast, and I think we are pushing each other overall. So that's helping our performance in the team. We need to keep doing the same job, and as I said, maximize the potential of the car.
Alfa Romeo and difficult times again caused by that great result for Williams.
Yeah, really difficult times for a team that on occasion have managed to get a couple of points here and there and throwing themselves into the mix, and then you have that one big race for another team, and it's going to be a lot for them to try and claw back, and difficult for Antonio and Kimi, because I think they've felt a lot of time this year that they've had a car to compete and things just haven't quite worked out.
Yeah, you spoke to Antonio.
Yeah, I think they just need that consistent weekend, but all season long they've been saying that going into each Grand Prix, and as you say, Hungary just didn't come together for them, but perhaps this could be a happy hunting ground for them. Obviously it didn't go Antonio's way last year here, but I think it's crucial for both of them to be scoring points at the moment, especially for their future as well.
Well, this is it. Are they on borrowed time? That's the ultimate question, isn't it? It's the only real sort of swirling question mark that remains in the paddock is who will be at Alfa Romeo next year. Obviously, also here at Williams, who'll be alongside Latifi, if indeed Latifi is still here next year. And what's going on at Williams? Segue to Williams.
Beautiful.
And George Russell, I spoke to George, didn't I? I did speak to George. We've already covered off the fact that he's not talking about or doesn't know about where he's going to be next year.
But looks jolly happy though, doesn't he?
I saw him on the phone in the airport car park. There's a bit of spice. Stir it up.
This is the insight that we need, Rosanna.
I'm joking. He probably was just on the phone to friends and family. But no, who knows? When we'll find out. Maybe there'll be news in the next few weeks. I hope so, because almost it becomes the main talking point, doesn't it? Everyone just asking the same question. We want to talk about what's going on each race weekend rather than what's happening next year.
George did say he and the team delighted to finally have that monkey off their back, not just of scoring points, but also in this championship battle this year to sort of get up the Constructors' Championship order. Really, they can just go into the second half of the year and enjoy their racing.
Definitely.
And that's absolutely key for them. Not just about trying to score a couple of points. They scored more than a couple of points, and it's night and day for them.
And they've come so close so many times this year, and I think they were getting beaten down each time something happened to one of them. So for them to have that ability to race without that pressure, it'll be exciting to see what they can do.
Really will. Let's hear from Nicholas Latifi now. Who spoke to?
Not
me.
You spoke to. And Lawrence insists it's a very good interview.
Nicky, how was your break first and foremost? And were you expecting to see your teammate, having seen him a lot during the year, the same place that you were going to switch off?
Yeah, it was a very nice break. Went to Greece and Mykonos and just spent some of the holiday there with my girlfriend. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get back to Canada, so it's still been quite a while since I've been home. But I didn't plan to go on holiday with George, but we knew we were both going to be in the same area at the same time prior to heading out, so we had definitely planned to meet up. Met together 2 of the days I was there. So yeah, it was nice.
Now, it must be exciting coming back to Spa on the back of your first points in Formula 1. How much of a confidence boost is that for you?
Yeah, definitely getting back into it. I mean, I would say carrying some positive momentum, but it's been quite a few weeks now, so let's say carrying some positive energy, let's say from the last race. You know, yeah, when you have a result like that, it definitely is a confidence booster. I think on the personal side, first points in Formula 1, you know, being put in that position, being out of position and still kind of capitalizing on it when it counted. I think was very important for me, and also from a team perspective, the momentum that brings now going into the second half of the season, a nice uplift of morale, because the team has been knocking on the points for some races now prior to that. So yeah, very nice way to head into the summer break, but now back to work, and we're just going to take each race one at a time.
When we set this shot up, there was sun breaking through those clouds, and now it's gone, which tells you all you need to know about how quickly the weather's changing here at Spa. Guys, thanks so much for joining me for the show. This is the part of the show where we always do our predictions. I forgot to warn you about that before we started filming. Lawrence, go.
Lewis Hamilton to win.
Ooh.
Daniel Ricciardo on the podium.
Interesting. Rosanna, I didn't give you much time to think about this.
I'm going to say Lewis Hamilton for the win, but I think maybe Lando Norris on the podium.
Cool. I didn't think about this before going to it, so I don't know.
Go bold, Will. Go bold.
Charles Leclerc podium and a Max Verstappen win, which means I've just jinxed both. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. Rosanna, do you have an apology to make?
I have an apology because I think I might have sold Yuki Tsunoda short quite some way by a foot.
Quite significant.
Yeah, it's because I'm a little bit taller than that, so it's tricky, isn't it, when you're...
Everyone's tiny to you, aren't
I
they?
know, and I've got my flats on.
That's it for Weekend Warm-Up. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy the weekend as Formula 1 gets back to racing action. Oh, and we almost forgot, there's now an award for overtaking.
There is, yes.
Sebastian Vettel is leading, yes, so after each race, the most number of overtakes will be added to the tally, which is pretty great.
Good chance for Sebastian to get some silverware.
There we go. That's it. That really is it. Now, thanks for tuning in, folks. Enjoy the weekend from him and her and me. That's it. See you later.